But let's start with what is happening in the United States of America, where the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu is expected to meet with the American President Donald Trump at the White House. Netanyahu, remember, will be the very first foreign leader to meet with Donald Trump since Trump took charge of the White House last month. Now, earlier today, the Israeli Prime Minister met with the US President's envoy for the Middle East, Steve Witkoff. The White House meeting comes at a time when the Israeli Prime Minister is facing intense pressure to move to the second phase of the Gaza ceasefire negotiations. He also faces a lot of heat from his corruption trial and the far-right leaders within his own coalition and opposition leaders. Now, just hours before the meeting, the American President, the Israeli Prime Minister's office said that Israel will send a delegation to Qatar for further negotiations. Now, Hamas has said that talks over the second phase of the ceasefire deal have begun. Qatar expects the American President Donald Trump to continue piling pressure on the Israeli Prime Minister and also Hamas to expand the agreement into a planned second stage. The transition into the second phase of the truce poses a risk for Netanyahu's prime ministerial position in Tel Aviv. Many far-right ministers, including the Settlements and the National Projects Minister, Orit Strock, have categorically threatened to topple Netanyahu's government. Now, Orit Strock has warned that her party will make sure that the current Prime Minister's government ceases to exist if the Gaza truce were to move to the second phase. Another far-right minister, the Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich, had earlier threatened to quit the coalition and to topple Netanyahu's government if he does not resume the war on the Gaza Strip at the end of the current 42-day period. Now, in contrast to the far-right leaders, the opposition leader Yair Lapid has pledged that the government will not fall over continuing with the agreement, repeating that his party could provide a political safety net.
But the first thing that must happen is that every hostage must come home. All of them, every last one. Tomorrow, President Trump will meet Prime Minister Netanyahu in Washington. It's important to make crystal clear before that meeting. Netanyahu has a political safety net from the opposition for the deal for every stage. There is no political reason preventing Netanyahu from going to the next phase.
Now, the Israeli Prime Minister's visit to the White House will be an important indicator on whether Netanyahu will continue with the Gaza truce or could the war in the Gaza Strip begin again. Now, this trip is also the Israeli leader's first foreign trip after the International Criminal Court, remember, issued a standing arrest warrant against him and his former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant for committing war crimes and crimes against humanity last year. Now, the ICC judges said that there was reasonable grounds to state that Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant were criminally responsible for the widespread and systematic attacks against the civilian Palestinian population in the Gaza Strip. Now, what is interesting is this. The United States, which happens to be Israel's biggest ally, has fundamentally rejected the ICC's arrest warrant, which is an international body. And this year, the House of Representatives have also moved to sanction the International Criminal Court for issuing arrest warrants against Netanyahu and his defense minister on charges of war crimes. So this, of course, is a crucial visit by the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. This is his very first meeting since Donald Trump has assumed charge. And this also goes to highlight as to how close the relationship between the United States of America and the State of Israel actually is. The very first global leader who's visiting Donald Trump since he's taken charge at the White House in his second term is Netanyahu. A lot, of course, is riding on this particular visit. And to tell us more in terms of what, of course, is expected to happen as a part of this visit, we're joined by our correspondent Susan Tehrani, who's joining us from New York. Susan, you've, of course, been tracking the story closely for us. Tell us what is on the agenda when Netanyahu meets with Donald Trump.
Of course, that second phase of the Gaza ceasefire is going to be on the agenda. We know that. But also the future of Iran's nuclear program. Israel's very concerned not only about Iran's nuclear capabilities and its possible ability to produce a nuclear weapon, but also it's meddling in the affairs of Israel's neighbors, being Gaza with the support of Hamas and then Hezbollah in Lebanon as well. So that's going to be a talking point. Of course, they're going to talk about two-way collaborations, security, national security for Israel. Netanyahu is also expected to meet members of Congress. That's going to be very important as well because the funding ultimately for Israel has to be confirmed by Congress. So the two leaders will have a very long meeting. They're going to start meeting at 4 p.m. in the afternoon. They're going to have dinner together. They're scheduled to have a press conference at 5:30 p.m. local time, Washington time as well. So we'll get a better understanding of what the two leaders talked about and the future of U.S.-Israel relations.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Susan Tehrani, for joining us with all those details. We'll, of course, come back to you as this story develops in the United States of America.